Unifrog span out of my time teaching in an inner city school in North London. I was trying to help kids choose what to do next after school, and realised that lots of them struggle to work out the best courses to apply for. That's after school, obviously. So which university courses to put on their UCAS forms here in the UK. And I realised that a lot of these kids were spending more time comparing different phones than comparing their university courses. You know, there were just more tools out there to compare a Nokia at the time anyway to a BlackBerry than there were to comparing Cambridge geography course to Durham geography course. So the idea with Unifrog is to really improve students' ways or access to information about university courses. So we're a bit like a Compare the Market, but for university courses. So you put in as a student a bit of information about yourself. You see all the courses that are out there in UK universities, and you can compare them on lots of different data points. So we started this up, and then afterwards we brought on an apprenticeship tool. So in the UK, you have, as well as universities, you can be an apprentice, and we help kids compare all the different apprenticeship vacancies. And then just recently, we've launched a course tool for comparing FE courses. That's hairdressing or plumbing, and now you can compare all these courses side by side. And the idea is that if you're a student, you might want to do any one of these different routes, and we'll help you work out the best course or vacancy for you. Anyway, that's the idea. That's what happened in the UK, and we launched in March 2013, just selling to the UK. And after about a year, some of our partner schools, so that's important to know actually, we sell subscriptions to schools. And after about a year, some of our partner schools said, okay, it's great that you've got all the UK universities, but what about universities in the US, France, Australia, Canada? How can our students, this is especially private schools, how can our students work out which are the best courses in any country to apply for? So we thought, okay, that there might be an opportunity there. And then another thing that happened was that we started to get foreign schools say, well, what about a tool which would just help us compare our domestic courses, undergraduate courses? So this happened particularly in France, actually. We had a couple of international schools in France, and they said, two of them said, there isn't a system in France that allows you to compare all the different universities and courses side by side like Unifrog allows you to do in the UK. What about making a domestic product but in France? So there were kind of two opportunities for us there then. One is a tool that we could just add on here, a kind of fourth tool. So as well as FE, apprenticeships and university in the UK, the idea is that you can also look at international university courses. And then the second thing, which is much bigger and more exciting perhaps, is that we can actually have a domestic product in different countries. So we'd have lots of schools in France, hopefully, or the US, signing up to buy Unifrog for their own domestic market. So what we did was we had to take stock and think about how easy would it be to bring in courses from other countries into our own tool, and also how easy would it be to build a tool that we could sell domestically in other countries. Unfortunately, Unifrog isn't as easy as some other products to just sell in different countries, because the way that we work is we really need to understand the education system in that country before it's actually useful. So sometimes, I mean, I wish that we were like Google, where the way you search for something is the same in France as it is in the UK, the search for a fact. But the way you search for a university course is different in each country, because each country has got its own very esoteric way of organizing their education system. So we, unfortunately, have had to do a lot of research to become experts on each international university system. And I think that could be a lesson for other companies, in that that's a pain because it's meant that we've had to do a lot of research before we launch, but it's also a benefit because it's really hard for another company to come up behind us. You have to get into the heads of a career advisor in each of the different countries in order to build a product like this, and it's really hard to just for someone else to come along and do it behind us, because a lot of research, and actually it's not so easy. I mean, I remember when the schools last year said to us, we'd really like an international tool. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I reckon in kind of 4 or 5 months we'll be ready to go. And what's actually happened is that a year later, we're now about to launch one country. I had thought we'd have, kind of 10 different countries, international systems on our tool. It's been much more complicated than that. Anyway, one thing that I learned that was quite funny is that each country's university system is arranged in an incredibly stereotypical way, as in exactly the way you imagine their country would organize their international system. So, for example, the US, huge university system. They've got about 3,500, 4,000 universities, whereas in the UK we have 130. Whereas in the UK, everything is arranged centrally through the University and Colleges Admission Service, UCAS. In the US, there is no real centralized system. There is one system called the Common App, which a few universities use, but actually most universities do completely their own thing. So you have to become an expert in each university to really be able to give kids the right help, whereas in the UK, it's just such a small, organized system, you just wouldn't do it like that. Also in the US, they are a lot more technologically savvy than we are, so they've kind of done more work on technology than we have, so we've had to be quite smart about what value we can add in the US versus in the UK. We're going to be quite a niche product, whereas in France, on the other hand, there is one. Well, the way it works in France is quite funny. If you are a student in a school in France, you kind of know exactly where you're going to go to university, whereas like in the UK, there's a lot of comparison that you would do. In France, it's a very kind of pyramid system. If you're very, very smart, there are a few universities that you'll apply for. If you're not so academic, you'll most likely go to your local university. And there are funny things like in France, if you want to be a doctor, anyone can start the first year. Absolutely anyone. You can walk in, you can start. And then there's a hardcore exam at the end of the first year. But this kind of thing is just so different from the UK. And again, so different from the US, where in the US, medicine is just a grad school. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that very quickly, we learned that it wasn't going to be a case of we just chuck in the extra data into our existing tool, and then bang, we've got a new product that we can sell to lots of different schools, well, that we can add on to our tools for the UK market, and then just start selling in other countries. But also, I feel like the research that we've done has meant that there's a kind of quite difficult drawbridge that we've pulled up, hopefully behind us, that will mean that it's more hard for other companies to come and get us, as it were. Okay, so we learned about the international systems. We kind of worked out a price that schools would probably pay for it in the UK, and we worked out the kind of pricing that we thought schools would pay for in the other countries. And then we realized that the latter side of things was completely wrong, because, again, we weren't experts on each country's system for procurement. So we became experts as career advisors, as it were, and then we realized that we had to learn the actual procurement system in each of these different countries. So in the US, which was quite surprising for me, in the US it's actually quite, the different local areas, they tend to buy things as a group. Whereas in the UK, it's really, since the power has been taken away from local authorities, it's been really devolved so that you can sell to each school one by one. So in the US, you're more likely to sell to groups, kind of at not quite a regional level, but more of a local area. And then in France, it's even more, the local areas are enormous. In France, the career advisors literally don't have a budget, and they are just given products by their region. And so we've had to learn all of this, going country by country. And what we decided, and I think this is a good lesson for anyone else that's looking to trade abroad with an education product, is that it was just too much work for us to both become expert in how to actually build a product and expert in selling in each of these different countries. So we decided that in the US, and actually it's Holland that has become the second country that we've decided to start trading in, it's better to just partner with pre-existing companies who don't offer what we're wanting to build. And the reason for that is you then have pre-existing relationships, as in sales relationships, that you can plug into. And also you've got people who are expert at all the various different tax complications that you would run into if you wanted to set up a company not being a national of that country. What we're doing is we're partnering in Holland with a company which up until now has just made hard copy kind of course comparison books, and we're providing their online tool. And so that's really easy. I mean, my costs are literally just build the tool. They're teaching me how the education system works. They're helping me design the tool, and then we just take a share of every product which is sold. So really low risk for me. I would much rather do that than hire a team in Holland, go in there, not have any existing relationships, and then have these guys go, that's actually a really good idea. We'll just do what you've done, but much quicker. So I really try to de-risk in Holland. And in the US, again, we're going to be partnering with an online careers tool, which just doesn't have anything that helps kids choose courses. So they do all the other stuff, like, I want to be a dentist, but they don't help you find the best university to actually become a dentist. So for me, that's been a big lesson. We can speed up and de-risk by partnering with partners in that country who don't do what we do. I feel a little bit of a fraud saying that you're going to learn from success because we haven't started yet. But we've definitely done a lot of things wrong, which hopefully anyone else going into this space can not make the same mistakes and hopefully speed up versus what we've been able to do.